What's up, folks? Welcome back to the garage. In this episode I will try to measure and calculate the combustion ratio of my b20 engine, and why I want to know that is because the ratio affects that what kind of head gasket I need, what thickness, and how much I want to lower the head. So what kind of order I will give to the machine shop, and what kind of cam I will need. And now, at first, in theory, shortly, I had all the instructions in Finnish, but then I found this WikiHow, and there's a quite good instruction how to calculate compression ratio. And it says here on the beginning that engine's compression ratio is essential to know so that you can tune your car to get the most horsepower out of it. So that's not my plan at this point, but I want to get some more horsepower. So it's essential to know what the compression ratio is. It's quite easy to calculate, but it's a little bit difficult to get all the measurements and numbers. But what I do first, I measure the bore in centimeters, like this in this picture, and then I will find the stroke in centimeters. And the stroke refers how far the piston travels within the cylinder. So it's quite easy to measure. And then third thing is determine the deck height in centimeters. So how much lower is the piston than the top of the cylinder. In the Volvo b20 engine, this piston stays under the cylinder level, so it's even easier to calculate. And this number 4, figure out the piston top volume in cubic centimeters, I don't have to do because Volvo's original pistons are flat, so it's quite simple to do that. Then I have to measure the head gasket volume in cubic centimeters. Here's instructions how to do it in inches, but it's much easier to do directly in centimeters and millimeters. I will show you how I calculate that. And then this is actually the most difficult thing to do, because I have to determine the combustion chamber volume. And here in these instructions it says that use the specs from the manufacturer. So I don't want to do that because I don't know if my combustion chambers are original. So I have to measure it. I will use tools like here in this picture. I will use this plexiglass, and I have an injection, and I will use paraffin oil to fill that combustion chamber, and I will seal plexiglass with the grease so it will hold the oil. And now you will see the picture I got from Ian. Thank you very much to UK. This is the way that the pros do the pros do this thing, how they measure the combustion chamber. I don't have the burette yet. I'm using the injection, which is not as accurate as burette, but I hope I would have a burette in the future. But at this point I will use only my injection. And then the second phase is do the math and the calculation. So I will have cylinder diameters and stroke. So I will get the total swept volume. Then I will find out the clearance volume. I need the combustion chamber volume, piston volume, gasket volume, and deck clearance. So I will get total clearance volume. And then when I know all these, it's quite easy to calculate the combustion ratio. So it's quite easy to find. Here you can see the combustion ratio is 9.5, which would be quite nice. I think I'm looking for about 10 in this project. And next, all this in action. So at first we measure the bore. I have already used my tool to measure it, and I get 88.9 millimeters, which is exactly the standard bore in this B20A engine, 88.9 millimeters, yes. And next we will measure the stroke. This is the bottom dead, how to say, bottom dead position for the piston. And when I measure like this, I get the stroke is 804. And now I know that the piston is 04 millimeters lower than the cylinder surface. So now I know the stroke is exactly 8 centimeters. So it's 80 millimeters. And I can find you just a sec. I don't have the head gasket yet, but what I know that in this B20 engine, the original gasket is 2 millimeters, and it's in loaded, it's so tightened, it's 1.65 millimeters, and in that B engine it's 0.8 millimeters and loaded 0.7. So when I'm calculating the cylinder head gasket volume, I will use this 1.65 and this 0.7. I don't know the diameters of the hole of the gasket, but I will estimate that it's the same than the bore. It's not the exact result, but it's close enough. So next I have to figure out the volume of this combustion chamber, and this is a little bit trickier than the earlier things. What I'm using, I have a grease, I have a plexiglass with a hole, I have a quite big injection, and I have this paraffin oil, which I'm going to use in this project. Like I said earlier, it would be much accurate result if I would have a burette, but I don't have that in this point. So next I will clear the table. I have 2 cylinder heads here for a reason. You can see that I have removed all the valve guides from all these 3 chambers, except this one, and I have sealed the valves with grease, and I have the springs also there. So this is ready for the measurement, and I will use this chamber to compare if there is a big difference between these 2 heads. First I will make sure that the cylinder head is level. Perfect. As straight as I can get it. I have already sealed the plexiglass with the grease, so it should be airtight. And I have this paraffin oil without no air bubbles here. And as you can see, there's exactly 80 millimeters paraffin oil inside. And next I will inject it inside the combustion chamber and we will see what result we will get. Well, you can see there's a quite big air bubble inside, so the result is not quite accurate. Just a sec, I will check. Now it seems that it's 22 or 23. So I had 80 millimeters. So if I'm right, I injected about 57 milliliters in that chamber, but I have to do it once or twice more to make sure. So I will do a time lapse about that. Now there is still air pocket, but it's not the huge one. And now I got, there's a 22 about. So it's a 58 or even 59. I would say 58, so I will do this once more. Yes, now I managed to, there's only small air bubble there and maybe small there, but now it's I would say it's a 59 milliliters. So it's yeah, it's about 59 millimeters I managed to put inside. But now you understand why I should have that burette, which my friend suggested, but at this point I have only this huge injection, so this result is just about, but it seems to be 59, so I think 59 is quite accurate result, which is more than I expected. 59 cubic centimeters is quite a lot for a b20 engine's head, so I measured also this, and this one's 54. So there's a huge difference, and I tried to figure out what's the reason for that. I found from the instructions that this cylinder head height measured from cylinder contact face to face bolt heads, it should be 86.7 millimeters, and this is actually just that, 86.7 millimeters, but this one is about 87.1 about, so it's about 0.4 millimeter thicker than it should. And I also measured the depth of the combustion chamber, and there's almost 1 millimeter difference, so this is much deeper than that one. So I'm just wondering what head is this. But now I think I found the reason why this combustion chamber is so large. But let's go back to the math, and I will do some calculations. If you have good advice, what cylinder head exactly this actually is, because the intake valve is actually 44 millimeters. It should be 42 in standard b20A engine. So it's there's a bigger intake valve, and it's 87.1 millimeter thick, so it's 3.43 inches. And I found this Vintage Performance Development's web page. There's a head in identification, and the B20F head is the closest one. It's 3.42 inch,
but I'm not sure at the moment. So if you have any tips what head actually I have here, I would appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. Now I have done my math. So the swept volume, you can see the formula here. I get 496.573 cubic centimeters. So that's one cylinder. And if I multiply it with 4, I get 1.99 liters, which is exactly the same what it should be. And actually the compression ratio should be 8.7 in this engine and 9.5 in that B engine. And clearance volume, you can see the formula there. The piston is 0 because I have flat pistons, but it's 59, which I got from the measurement from the combustion chamber, but I really should have the burette, but I don't have that. And the gasket, I can show you how I got that. There's the how I calculated it, and this is the number, the 0.8 millimeter head gasket is when it's tightened, so it's 4.345 there, and the deck clearance is 2.48, which came from here, and that was the deck clearance. So altogether 65.83 cubic centimeters, and then I calculated the compression ratio and I got 8.54. So the compression ratio is 8.54, but I get this when I'm using 0.8 head gasket. So I should get 8.7 with a thicker gasket. I did some calculation. You can see that if the combustion chamber would be 60 milliliters and I would have that 2 millimeter head gasket, which is 1.65 and it's tightened, I would get only 7.85 compression ratio. So there's something going on with that head. The combustion chamber is a little bit too big. But next I will do one more calculation. I would calculate what size should a combustion chamber be that I could get about 10.0 compression ratio with this head gasket. Yes, I really do some math. So I calculated 52 milliliters, 50 milliliters and 48 milliliters, and if I would have 48 millimeters combustion chamber, the compression ratio would be 10.06, so it should be 11 milliliters smaller than what it's now. So I have to just keep digging to find out what would be the best compression ratio for my engine, and then I can give the order for the machine shop. But it will take some time because I just want to figure out what camshaft I would like to have, and we will see how the porting goes. I would appreciate your comments down below, that would be great. And hey, thanks for watching, please give me a thumbs up and that comment down below, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it right away, and also remember to press the bell. Thanks for watching and see you soon!